which is very restricted at the moment in Greece. If you want to allow that, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not even going to happen in a year. It will take a while. And it's very difficult to say whether Greece actually has that time at the moment.
Okay. Jamie, just having a quick look also at Japan today.
There are very unfortunate figures, and I say unfortunate because, in fact, the troubles in Japan are not of Japan's making at all. Obviously, they've had a very strong yen, which has been a real problem for their exports. They've had the floods in Thailand. Now, Thailand is crucial to Japan because so many of their big companies have their supply programs, their supply chains coming through Thailand. And also, of course, you've got the slowdown in Europe and also the lack of a very convincing recovery coming out of the United States. And those two vitally important markets are really the slowdown there, or the lack of growth there, has really sort of crimped any growth in Japan. So they're hoping it's going to get better next quarter, but this last quarter has not been good for them.
Jamie, thanks very much indeed. Pakistan's Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani has been charged with contempt by the Supreme Court in Islamabad. He pleaded not guilty. He was indicted for refusing to reopen corruption cases against President Zardari. Mr. Gilani argues that the president has immunity from prosecution. If convicted, Mr. Gilani could be jailed for up to 6 months. Our correspondent Ali Maqbool was at the hearing in Islamabad and joins us now. Obviously, Pakistan has been in quite a political crisis in recent weeks and months. What happened, though, today in court?
Well, the crisis is continuing and is set to continue for some time yet, but the Prime Minister appeared in court, in the Supreme Court, behind me for about an hour or so, and things went pretty much as expected. He was indicted, charged with contempt, and as expected, he entered a plea of not guilty. This all centers around a judgment that the Supreme Court made a couple of years ago. Then it ordered the Prime Minister to send a letter to the Swiss authorities to reopen corruption cases against the President Asif Ali Zardari. He hasn't done that, and that's why these proceedings have begun.
And how long is it going to take to resolve this? Mr. Gilani obviously hoping to stay in his position whilst he fights this case.
Well, it is very difficult to say how long it will take, but the defense team, his defense team, will get a chance to put their case forward at the end of this month. They will argue that actually the Prime Minister was in the right because he believed, he had legal advice to say the President enjoyed immunity. So there was no point in writing that letter and getting those cases reopened against the President. But the Supreme Court is still pretty much entrenched. Both sides are pretty how either side will back down. So we can still see potentially a day where he is convicted, the Prime Minister, and he could, as you say, get a jail term. He would certainly lose his job, or he would be asked to step down if he was convicted. But this wrangle goes on, and while it does, there are real concerns in Pakistan about what's going on in terms of the business of actually governing this country.
Indeed. Ali Maqbool, thanks very much indeed. Sorry about the delay on that line to Islamabad also there. Now, a key suspect in the 2002 Bali bombings has gone on trial in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta. Umar Patek faces several charges, including making the bombs used in the attack, which killed more than 200 people. Prosecutors are expected to ask for the death penalty. Well, the BBC's Karishma Vaswani has more details now.
The trial has now been adjourned, with the defense saying that they will be putting forward their objections to the charges that were read out against Umar Patek sometime next week, when it's expected to resume again. For our audiences, just to remind them that the 6 charges Umar Patek is facing, amongst them he may receive the death penalty for several of the charges that were placed in front of him today. He's not facing a terror charge for his alleged role in the Bali bombings of 2002. Now, he's thought to have been involved in a number of different attacks, including the 2000 church bombings in Jakarta, but it was really the Bali attacks that propelled him to infamy, if you will. Remember, they were the deadliest attacks on Indonesian soil, killing more than 200 people, mainly foreigners, a number of Indonesians as well. But those attacks really tarnished Indonesia's image and reputation as a safe country to visit, to do business in, and certainly Indonesia has struggled to shrug off that image over the last few years.
Karishma Vaswani. In Helmand province, Afghan forces have for the first time started their own operations against the Taliban. It comes as the NATO-led international forces discuss accelerating the handover of security. Well, the BBC has been given access to one of the first big missions entirely planned and executed by the Afghan army in Helmand. British troops were only supposed to be advising, but as Quentin Somerville discovered, they did most of the heavy lifting for the Afghan forces.
Just before daybreak in northern Helmand, hundreds of soldiers are on the move. This is an Afghan army operation.
Eastbound on the road, blocking a convoy of us.
British soldiers are in the rear. They won't be doing any of the fighting. On the ground, these British advisors are trying to get the Afghan army to go it alone as they search for the Taliban. The Afghan general in charge is brimming with confidence. He tells me, our foreign friends are in the back giving us support, but we know this place better. We know the language, and the houses, people in the houses, not foreigners. It doesn't go too badly for the general. His men are helped by the fact that there aren't many Taliban around. Most have disappeared for the winter. This is supposed to be an Afghan operation. These so-called British advisors are doing a lot more than just advising. They're still performing the most essential tasks. Here they go to recover a vehicle hit by a Taliban bomb, but they're stopped in their tracks by another suspect device. Leaving the safety of their armoured truck, they inch closer, reaching out to clear the path. After a tense hour and a half, the bomb is revealed as a decoy. And compare these flimsy Afghan army pickups, easy for the Taliban to target, to this British Jackal. It's far deadlier and more difficult to destroy.
Lowest tactical level, they're very good. And when it comes to a fight, they are absolutely up for it. It's the bigger pieces now. It's ensuring that they've got the capability to service all their vehicles and get the spares systems up and running, the logistics up and running, to keep what is actually a huge army on the road and in the fight.
Much is being asked of Afghan security forces. This lot are the Afghan police. Britain wants to speed up the handover, allowing its troops to draw back sooner. But if that transfer comes too early, it runs the risk of Afghan forces being overwhelmed. Quentin Somerville, BBC News, Helmand in southern Afghanistan.
The music world has been remembering the life and career